At my birthday. My sister smashed the cake into my face, laughing as I fell backward with blood mixing into the frosting. Everyone said it was just a joke. But the next morning at the doctor stared at my x-ray and immediately called 911 because what he saw revealed shocking truth. I knew birthdays could be messy, but I never expected mine to end with my sister's hands shoving a cake into my face so hard the world snapped sideways. I remember the smear of frosting, the sting of blood mixing into it, and Rowan's laughter, bright, sharp, deliberate as I hit the floor. People rushed in only to shrug. It was just a joke. While my vision pulsed blue and white, I tried to believe them. I tried to stand. But the next morning at the ER, the doctor froze at my x-ray and asked me a question no sister should ever trigger. I grew up learning to swallow things. Small hurts, sharp comments, moments that should have felt wrong but were brushed off as harmless. In my family, peace was a performance and I played my part well. I was the quiet one, the steady one, the daughter who didn't need attention because, as Mom liked to say, Avery is strong. She can handle herself. What she meant was simpler. Rowan needed the spotlight more. Rowan was born 18 months after me, but you'd think she was the first child, the favorite child, the son we were all expected to orbit. She had that kind of presence, loud, dramatic, magnetic. When she walked into a room, Mom lit up. When I walked in, Mom soft and polite like she just remembered I existed. I learned early that Rowan's moods dictated the temperature of the entire house. And Marlene, our mother, did anything to keep her smiling. And me, I fit myself into the cracks. I tried not to question the small things. The way Rowan accidentally bumped me into the coffee table when we were 10. The way she whispered clumsy after I tripped down the stairs in high school. The way she insisted on carrying my bags at family gatherings only for the contents to end up mysteriously spilled. Mom always reacted the same way. Avery, don't be dramatic. Your sister loves you. So I stopped asking for help. I focused on work, built a life in my small Seattle apartment, kept my distance when I could. But Rowan had a talent for finding ways to stay in the center of my orbit. Little comments, little digs, moments she turned into jokes. Everyone laughed at except me. And every time I tried to defend myself, I heard the same line, "You're too sensitive." Rowan didn't mean it. That's why on the night of my 36th birthday, even as blood slid warm down my neck and frosting blurred my vision, part of me still wondered if maybe I was overreacting. Maybe the pain blooming at the base of my skull was just bad luck. Maybe Rowan's grin, so wide, so sharp, wasn't satisfaction, but poor timing. Maybe the laughter around me wasn't cruelty, but confusion. I kept replaying the moment as I drove home, the steering wheel cold beneath my palms. I tried to believe it was just a joke, just an accident, just Rowan being Rowan. But lying awake that night, head pounding, something felt different. An instinct deep in my chest, whispering that this time something was very, very wrong. And by the next morning, when I staggered into the ER, I would learn that instinct wasn't exaggeration. It was memory trying to surface. By morning, the headache had sharpened into something vicious. Each heartbeat a hammer against the back of my skull. Bright light made my vision double, and a wave of nausea rolled through me the moment I tried to sit up. I told myself it was fine, that all I needed was water and rest, but my own body disagreed. When I touched the tender spot behind my ear, my fingers came away sticky with dried blood. That was the moment fear crept in. I dressed slowly, gripping the wall when the room swayed. Driving to the ER felt reckless, but calling someone felt worse. I could already hear Mom's voice. "You don't need a doctor. You bruise easily. Stop making a scene." And Rowan would laugh, a light dismissive sound that always made me feel smaller than I already did. So, I went alone. Seattle's ER was busy, but when the nurse saw me flinch at the overhead lights, she guided me into an exam room without hesitation. I answered her questions. When did the injury happen? How did it happen? Was there a loss of consciousness? Each answer feeling strangely heavy. Saying out loud that my sister shoved a cake into my face shouldn't have sounded like a medical emergency. Yet, here I was, trembling under the paper gown. Dr. Hanley entered with a gentle knock, his expression calm but attentive. He asked me to follow his finger squeeze, his hands, touch my nose, smile. I did my best, though the room kept tilting as if it wanted to remind me. Gravity wasn't on my side. "Let's get some scans," he said softly, "just to be safe." Safe? I wondered when I had stopped feeling that word applied to my family. The imaging room hummed with cold machinery. Lying there staring at the ceiling, I kept replaying Rowan's face, her grin, the way her eyes flickered with something sharp, something triumphant. For years, I had explained that expression away, misread it, excused it. But now, with my skull throbbing and the world spinning, excuses felt suddenly fragile. When Dr. Hanley returned, he wasn't calm anymore. He pulled a stool close and turned the monitor so I could see. "Avery," he began, voice low. You have a hairline fracture. It's not severe, but it's real. And it wasn't just from yesterday. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? He clicked to another image. This here, a rib on your left side shows signs of an older fracture. Based on the healing, it happened roughly 3 years ago. 3 years ago, the staircase fall. Rowan, behind me. Her arms around me afterward whispering, "You're so dramatic. You just slipped." I felt the edges of the exam table dig into my palms as my breath thinned. Duh. Hanley watched me carefully as though trying to decide how much truth I could handle. Then he exhaled, picked up the phone, mounted to the wall, and said the words that shifted my entire world. "I need to report this. It's required." Required as in serious, as in not a joke, as in not my imagination. When he hung up, his eyes met mine with quiet certainty. "Avery, someone did this to you." For a long moment, I couldn't speak. The words, "someone did this to you," echoed in my head, louder than the beeping in the hallway, louder than the pounding inside my skull. I had spent years absorbing blame, shrinking myself, convincing my mind that Rowan's presence during every injury was coincidence. Accidents happen. Sisters, roughhouse. I'm just clumsy. But Dr. Hanley's steady eyes left no room for the stories I'd told myself. A soft knock came before a woman stepped into the room. Detective Carver. She introduced herself with a measured calm, the kind that suggested she'd seen this pattern too many times. She pulled a chair close, sat at eye level, and opened a small notebook. "Avery," she said gently, "I'm here because your injuries raise concerns. I'd like to ask you a few questions." My throat tightened. "About Rowan." Her gaze didn't waver. "About your safety." It was strange the way those two concepts overlapped. She began with straightforward questions. Who was at the birthday dinner? Had there been alcohol? Where exactly was Rowan standing? Had there been previous injuries? Each answer landed heavier than the last. And when she asked if anyone had ever discouraged me from seeing a doctor after an accident, something inside me cracked open. "Yes," I whispered my sister every time. Detective Carver wrote quietly, then looked up. "Did you believe her reasons?" I didn't know how to answer. Did I? Or did I just want to believe them because the alternative was unbearable? I stared down at my trembling hands, remembering Rowan placing an ice pack on my ribs 3 years ago, insisting I didn't need medical bills, calling me overly dramatic. Remembering her scoffing when I tripped in the parking lot, joking loudly that I should be bubble-wrapped. Remembering her moving quickly to clean up any mess caused by my injuries, always positioning herself as the helpful one. "It's like she wanted to be the first person I turned to," I said quietly. "And the last person I doubted." Detective Carver nodded as though that made perfect tragic sense. Before she could ask the next question, the door flew open. My mother's voice cut through the room before I even registered her face. "Avery Lynn Dalton, what on earth are you telling these people?" She swept inside with Gerald in tow, her expression a storm of indignation and fear. Rowan wasn't with them yet. Somehow her presence clung to the room anyway. "A fracture," Mom demanded from a birthday joke. "This is ridiculous. Tell them you're confused. You bruise easily. You've always been sensitive." Sensitive, dramatic, overreacting. Words that had shaped my entire childhood now pressed against the bruised edges of my adulthood. Detective Carver stood posture calm but unyielding. "Mrs. Dalton, I need you to step back. Your daughter is speaking with me privately." Mom's jaw tightened as she glared at me. Betrayal twisting her features. Not betrayal of what Rowan might have done, but betrayal of the fact that I dared speak. And in that moment, something inside me shifted again. Not a crack this time, but a settling. A decision. For the first time in my life, I didn't shrink. "Mom," I said, voice steady despite the tremor beneath it, "I'm not confused." Her eyes widened, furious and disbelieving. I turned fully toward Detective Carver. "I want to continue." Detective Carver didn't waste time once I gave consent. She asked Mom and Gerald to step outside, and despite Mom's protests, the detective's tone made it clear this wasn't optional. When the door finally closed, the room felt strangely lighter, as if removing my mother's presence untangled a knot I'd carried for decades. Carver sat again. "Avery, I'm going to be honest with you. The pattern you've described, the injuries, the minimization, the pressure not to seek medical help, it's concerning, and combined with what Dr. Hanley found, we need to treat this seriously." I nodded, though the reality of what she implied hovered just out of reach, too large to take in all at once. "We've requested the restaurant security footage," she continued, "and we'll be talking to every witness at your birthday. For now, I want you to focus on your safety. Do you feel safe going home?" The question stunned me more than the diagnosis. Safe? The word felt foreign, like it belonged to other people's families. "I'm not sure," I admitted. Carver softened. "That's an honest answer. It's a start." Before she could explain next steps, the door cracked open again. This time it was Elise, my aunt. She hovered hesitantly in the doorway until Carver nodded permission for her to enter. Elise stepped inside her eyes, glossy with something that looked too heavy to carry alone. "Avery," she whispered. "I should have come sooner." Her voice trembled, and when she reached for my hand, hers was cold. "I tried calling you last night," she said, "but when I didn't reach you, I had a feeling something wasn't right." She looked at Carver. "Detective, can I speak to you both? I have information." Carver motioned for her to sit. "Go ahead." Elise swallowed hard. "I've seen Rowan hurt Avery before." My entire body stilled. Elise continued, voice shaking. "When Avery was little, there were moments small at first that I didn't know how to explain. I told myself it was sibling rivalry or accidents or kids not knowing their strength. But as they got older, Rowan changed. Or maybe I finally saw it clearly." She wrung her hands. "I saw her push Avery on the stairs once. Avery was maybe 12. Everyone thought she slipped. But I was standing at the top landing. Rowan shoved her hard. My breath caught. I remembered that fall, how Mom scolded me for ruining the holiday photos with a bruised cheek. How Rowan hovered next to me offering cookies and fake sympathy." Elise wasn't finished. "And 3 years ago, after Eleanor's funeral," she took a trembling breath, "I overheard something. Rowan found out about the Victorian house. She didn't say it to your face, Avery, but she was furious. I heard her telling someone on the phone that accidents happen and that if you were less competent, she'd be the one to manage everything." The room went very still. Even Detective Carver stopped writing. A cold shiver slid down my spine. Elise's voice cracked into a whisper. "I should have told you sooner. I was scared of Marlene. Scared she would cut me out entirely. But after what happened last night, I can't stay quiet anymore." Carver nodded slowly. "Thank you, Elise. This helps us build a clearer timeline." She stood. "Avery, I'll keep you updated. For now, Elise will take you home and stay away from your sister until we've completed our interviews." I agreed because the truth was simple. I didn't want to see Rowan. Not until I understood who she really was. 2 days passed in a blur of phone calls, updates, and long silences inside my apartment. Elise stayed with me, insisting she wasn't leaving me alone. I didn't argue. The quiet company felt like a soft landing after years of walking on glass. On the third day, Detective Carver called. "We viewed the footage," she said. "Avery, it was deliberate." The words pulsed in my ear. She angled the cake. She looked over her shoulder first. "And after you fell, there's a moment, barely a second, where she smiled before pretending to panic." A cold wave washed through me. I didn't respond, so Carver continued. "We also obtained her phone. There are notes that detail past incidents, dates that match your injuries, and something labeled future." My chest tightened. Future projected opportunities. When you'd be alone. When you'd be most vulnerable. Avery. This wasn't spontaneous. She planned patterns. I felt Elise's hand on my back as I sank onto the couch. "We're moving forward with charges," Carver said. "I need you to be present at a family meeting Sunday evening. We'll arrest Rowan there." A tremor rippled through me. "Why in front of everyone?" "Because this time Carver said the entire family needs to see the truth." Sunday came too quickly. Elise drove me to Mom's house, the same house that had held decades of quiet dismissals and rearranged memories. When I stepped inside, Rowan was already there, laughing, chatting, glowing with the ease of a person who believes they've won. She saw me and smirked. "Oh, look who's finally healed." Mom hummed disapprovingly. "Avery, don't start anything." Start anything? As if I had ever been the one who did. Before I could answer, a knock echoed across the dining room. Detective Carver stepped inside with 2 officers. "Rowan and Dalton," she said, voice clear. "You're under arrest." The room erupted. Mom shouted, "This is absurd." Gerald backed away pale. Elise stayed rigid beside me. But Rowan, her transformation was instant. The pleasant facade drained, replaced by something sharp and feral. "You're kidding," Rowan said, laughing too loudly. "For what? A birthday joke?" Carver didn't flinch. "For assault and for evidence found in your possession indicating intent to cause future harm." Rowan's eyes flicked toward me, narrowing. "You think you're so perfect, Avery. You think you deserve that house. You think Eleanor loved you more. She only pied you." Mom gasped. "Rowan." Rowan kept going, unraveling in real time. "I've cleaned up after her my whole life. She was always pathetic, always fragile, and everyone acted like I should feel guilty for being stronger." Carver cut in. "That's enough." But Rowan lunged forward, pointing at me with trembling rage. "You ruined everything the day you were born." And there it was, the truth she'd hidden beneath 20 years of smiles. The officer stepped in, cuffing her wrists as she thrashed. "Mom, tell them Avery is exaggerating. Tell them." But Marlene wasn't moving. Her face had gone ghostly, white eyes wide with a dawning horror I'd never seen before. Maybe for the first time, she finally understood the monster she had protected. Rowan's voice cracked into a scream as she was led out of the house, and I stood there, heart pounding. realizing the world had shifted again, this time in my favor. The aftermath unfolded quietly, almost gently, as if the world was trying to hand me a softness I'd never been allowed before. Within weeks, Rowan accepted a plea arrangement, supervised probation, mandatory therapy, and a long-term order preventing her from coming near me. It wasn't dramatic, but it was justice, steady, undeniable. Mom barely spoke during the hearings. When the evidence was read aloud, the footage, the notes, the old injuries, something in her seemed to collapse inward. One afternoon, she called to tell me she'd started therapy. Not for Rowan, for herself. For the years she spent denying what she didn't want to see. I didn't know what to say, so I said the only honest thing. I hope it helps. The Victorian house became my quiet refuge. Restoring it felt like restoring myself room by room, memory by memory. And when I opened the doors as the first meeting space for the Eleanor Center, a resource hub for people trying to untangle family-made wounds, I felt something I'd never felt growing up. Safe, seen, free. Some people say family loyalty means enduring anything. But I've learned that real loyalty, real love, doesn't demand silence in the face of harm. It protects, it heals, and sometimes it requires walking away from the people who taught you to doubt your own pain. I'm still learning what a healthy life looks like. Still finding my footing inside the freedom I never expected to have. But if my story proves anything, it's that truth doesn't just break things apart. It clears space for something better. If you've ever carried a wound like mine, share your story below. And if you want more real stories like this, make sure you're subscribed. You're not alone.